Welcome
She
back
kind
to
of
Two
blew
Wants
us
to Know.
off.
We're
It's like,
answering your questions about stimulus payments today and unemployment and taxes and so much more. Mark Hensley and Scott Braddock join us to get your questions answered. Just text them to that number right there in the corner of your screen, 336-379-5775. Let's start with that unemployment overpayment. So we all paid taxes on unemployment. A lot of us filed early. Then the government said the first 10,000 and change was not going to be taxed. How are we going to get that money back, Scott?
Right. That was a real nightmare, I think, for a lot of CPAs out there when they decided after a lot of folks had filed their tax returns that they were going to provide this this credit, if you will. So if you receive $10,200 or up to that amount in unemployment, they decided that you were not required to pay taxes on that money. So instead of having to file an amended return, what's going to happen is the government's going to start sending out those overpayments back to those filers. And that's going to start now and take place over the next few months. So again, if you pay taxes up to $10,200 on unemployment benefits, you're going to receive that money that you paid in taxes back over the next few months.
And we had someone ask, will they be able to check the status of that unemployment refund on irs.gov or anywhere else, Mark?
I have not seen where the status of that. It's in process, but they have not added a new radio button to the IRS website about tracking those refunds back for overpayment on unemployment insurance.
We're going to keep our
Right.
fingers crossed that we get it sooner rather than later here. We had someone ask, is it true that if you owe a Parent Plus loans that you won't get the repayment for unemployment, Scott?
Well, that's a great question. You know what? I have not seen anything on that specifically. Mark, have you seen anything on that?
I have not. I actually have a Parent Plus loan. I'm hoping to get some loan forgiveness for putting my daughter through college, but at this point, we have not received anything that connects those two programs together. But if you go to the website for WFMY, anything like that does come up, we'll make sure that it gets put out there.
So we're still getting lots of stimulus questions too. One common reoccurring theme is, what if someone in your family passed away since the stimulus was given out, but they never received that money? Can they still get it from the family? What do you think, Scott?
So that question has come up. Someone passes away during the year and the government wasn't aware of it because they hadn't filed their most recent tax return. And what we heard for stimulus 1 and 2 is that they expected that money back if and only they weren't alive during that year. But if they were alive during that year up through, let's see, December of 2020, they would have been entitled to that first stimulus check. But if they were to have passed away prior to that, earlier in that year, what we found out is that they did want that payment back. I don't think they've come out with a plan for stimulus 3 as far as sending those type of payments back. But if that's you, I would encourage you to hold on to that stimulus payment until there's a clear plan on how to return it.
Yeah, what kind of penalties could you face if you don't send it back, Mark?
So in this third round of stimulus, the IRS has been very clear that they really don't want you to send money back to them. They would rather wait and this be corrected through a paper trail once we file our 2021 taxes. So if you think you've been overpaid, that's the first one. Don't be shocked if that's going to be reconciled once we file taxes next year. Now, keep in mind, the deadline for 2020 was just this past Monday. If you received a payment for a person who is deceased, we're still told, hold on to that, but expect when the reconciliation happens, you're going to have to pay it back. As far as penalties, this is not a payment from the IRS that is taxable, and therefore there are no fees or penalties assigned with this because it is actually a cash payment on a tax credit that we normally would recognize on when we file our taxes.
Some other people are asking about, if I filed my taxes, how long will it take to get the first and second stimulus check? What do you think?
Yeah,
Scott?
I've had that question, and I don't think there's really a set time frame there. It does take a little bit of time. I know that this is, a big, unrolling, rolling out, if you will, of these stimulus packages. And now we have the American Rescue Plan Act. So I would anticipate and encourage folks to anticipate as well some delays. But as far as the exact timing, I think it's hard to say. But keep in mind, as Mark mentioned, you can go to the IRS website and you can click on the button, Get My Payment, and get an idea of exactly where it's at and track it from there.
Okay, the big question, will we have a fourth stimulus? Mark, what do you think?
So the White House has actually been completely silent on this issue. As of today, what they have said is this is up to Congress. And we know that Congress has wrestled with a number of rescue items. And of course, we have now these payments that will start going out that Scott mentioned for children under age 17 and under. But at this point, there are no negotiations that are leading anyone to believe that there's going to be a fourth stimulus. But stay tuned. This happens very quickly, and it is truly up to Congress.
Nice tease there. We appreciate that. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. If you missed any of the wonderful things they had to say, it's all up in the Two Wants to Know section. You can find out so much more about stimulus there.